Welcome to an in-depth exploration of one of the most influential countries in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, a nation synonymous with the label Wahhabi and often perceived as a bastion of Islamic conservatism, yet now facing a significant wave of change. Is Saudi Arabia truly moving towards a more secular or liberal direction? What are the life and conditions like there today? Is it true that there are drastic changes, even regarding the obligation for women to wear the hijab? Let's delve deeper to find the answers, as if we are traveling across this country. Historical footprints shaping Saudi identity to understand Saudi Arabia today. We need to look back, tracing the historical footprints that have shaped its identity. Archaeological research indicates that the Arabian Peninsula, where Saudi Arabia is located, has been inhabited by humans for about 75,000 years. This suggests that the region was one of the early migration routes for humans out of Africa. Early governance in the region began with the establishment of the Lionite Kingdom in eastern Saudi Arabia, around the 7th century BC until 24 BC. This kingdom is believed to have been founded by descendants of Bani Ismail bin Ibrahim, who are also considered the ancestors of the Arabs. History then continues with the birth of Prophet Muhammad in Mecca in 570 AD and 610 AD. The religion of Islam emerged after Prophet Muhammad received his first revelation. Since then, Islam began to flourish rapidly in the Arabian Peninsula, and Prophet Muhammad successfully united most of the tribes in the region under the banner of Islam. After the death of Prophet Muhammad in 632 AD, Islamic rule was continued by the Rashidun Caliphate, followed by the Umayyad Caliphate in 661 AD. Under Umayyad rule, the territory of Islamic power expanded dramatically, covering North Africa, Central Asia, Portugal, Spain, and parts of southern France. The Abbasid Caliphate then took over in 750 AD, before the Arabian Peninsula eventually fell to the Ottoman Sultanate in 1517 AD, a crucial turning point in the history of modern Saudi Arabia's formation occurred in 1727. The ruler of the Diriyah tribe, Muhammad bin Saud, allied with the founder of the Wahhabi movement, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. Together, they established a new kingdom called the Emirate of Diriyah. The Ottomans, who considered this act a rebellion, launched a war that lasted from 1811 to 1818, aided by Britain and France. This conflict ended in a decisive Ottoman victory, and the Emirate of Diriyah was dissolved in 1818. However, the spirit of the Saud family and the Wahhabis did not wane. In 1824, they reunited and formed a new kingdom, the Emirate of Najd. This kingdom collapsed when the Al-Rashid family launched a coup in 1891, establishing the Emirate of Jebel Shah. Again, the Saud family and the Wahhabis rose in 1902, overthrowing the Emirate of Jebel Shamr and establishing the Sultanate of Nesed. At that time, there were three major powers on the Arabian Peninsula: the Sultanate of Nesed, the Igrisi Emirate, and the Kingdom of Hejaz. Slowly but surely, the Saud family and its forces succeeded in unifying these three regions, beginning with the conquest of the Kingdom of Hejaz in 1925. The kingdom was then renamed the Kingdom of Najd in 1932. The name was changed again to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The conquest of the Igrisi Emirate in 1934 completed the formation of the modern Saudi Arabia we know today. This long and winding process gave birth to the modern Saudi state, a political entity intrinsically linked to the history and ideology of Wahhabism. Country profile. Crucial facts about Saudi Arabia. The full name of the country is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Its system of government is an absolute monarchy, with a king as head of state and a crown prince as prime minister or head of government. Its capital is Riyadh, a city that is now the center of all rapid developments in the country. Geographically, Saudi Arabia is located in the western part of the Asian continent, occupying most of the Arabian Peninsula. It borders Yemen and Oman to the south, Kuwait, Iraq, and Jordan to the north. To the west lies the Red Sea, while to the east it borders Oman, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, and the Persian Gulf. Its territory is vast, covering approximately 2,149,690 square kilometers, making it the second largest country in the Arab world and the fifth largest in Asia. Saudi Arabia's current population is approximately 38.4 million people. The majority of the population, about 93%, are Muslim, with a breakdown of 83% Sunni and 10% Shia. In terms of economy, Saudi Arabia is a developed country with a high-income economy group. The country's Human Development Index, HDI, ranks 35th in the world, indicating a relatively high level of welfare and quality of life. Saudi Arabia's economy is highly dependent on crude oil sales, which contribute about 72% of its total export revenue. In addition to oil, petrochemical industries, metal and plastic processing, shipbuilding, date farming, and tourism, especially religious tourism, also play important roles. Saudi Arabia's largest export partners are China, India, Japan, and South Korea. The currency used is the Saudi Riyal. Life in a modern desert land. Although Saudi Arabia is one of the richest countries in the world, Data on poverty are often not officially published. However, estimates from organizations like the Borgen Project suggest that around 12.7% of Saudi Arabia's population still lives below the poverty line. Interestingly, over 85% of the population lives in urban areas, reflecting rapid urbanization. The same data also notes that about 50% of the population does not own their own homes, largely due to the very high property prices in the country, with an average regional minimum wage of approximately 16 million Indonesian rupiah per month. Purchasing power in Saudi Arabia is relatively high, but the cost of living is also relatively high, especially in large cities. Absolute monarchy. Unlimited power in the hands of the king. One of the most striking facts about Saudi Arabia's governance system is its status as one of the few countries in the world that still implements an absolute monarchy. In this system, the king holds the highest authority in determining every state policy. Royal decrees can even supersede existing laws or regulations. A frequently asked question is, who supervises the king? The answer is, no one. Unlike democratic systems where legislative bodies oversee the executive, in an absolute monarchy, the king has complete control over the state. This is why many Western media outlets often refer to Saudi Arabia as one of the most authoritarian countries in the world. Another interesting fact is the absence of political parties in Saudi Arabia. On one hand, this eliminates the potential for inter-party conflicts and rivalries often seen in democratic countries. However, on the other hand, it also poses a risk if a ruling king is ever incompetent. The entire country could be endangered due to the lack of strong checks and balances. Not an Islamic state, but a kingdom with a touch of Sharia. There is often a misconception that Saudi Arabia is an Islamic state. However, it is important to remember that constitutionally, Saudi Arabia is a kingdom, not a purely theocratic Islamic state. What's the difference? If an Islamic state were to truly implement Sharia, all its policies would be absolutely based on the Quran and Hadith. However, in Saudi Arabia, as an absolute monarchy, the king's decree is the highest law. Indeed, many of the laws used in Saudi Arabia adopt Islamic Sharia law. However, these laws can be changed or reinterpreted at any time by the king. For example, before 2019, religious celebrations other than Islam were strictly prohibited. Christians, for instance, were not allowed to celebrate Christmas, Easter, or other religious activities. However, since Mohammed bin Salman came to power as crown prince, followers of other religions are now permitted to celebrate their respective major religious holidays. Even Christmas trees can now be sold in stores. Another often debated example is the implementation of Islamic Sharia laws such as amputation for thieves. However, in practice, this law may not apply if the perpetrator is a member of the royal family or an influential figure. Between 2017 and 2019, Mohammed bin Salman launched a large-scale anti-corruption crackdown that led to the arrest of dozens of princes and princesses. They were imprisoned uniquely in the five-star Ritz-Carlton Hotel and removed from their positions. However, they were not punished with amputation, according to Islamic Sharia. Instead, they were asked to pay compensation in a certain amount of money, after which they were released. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia reportedly acquired $103 billion from these compensations. These cases demonstrate that although Islamic Sharia forms the basis of law, its application in Saudi Arabia is flexible and subject to the authority of the king. Therefore, when policies appear un-Islamic to some, such as allowing LGBTQ tourists or opening beaches where women can wear bikinis, these are logical consequences of Saudi Arabia's status as an autonomous kingdom in determining its policies. The newly opened Pure Beach north of Jeddah, for example, allows women to wear bikinis, something unimaginable a few years ago. These changes are part of Mohammed bin Salman's vision to make Saudi Arabia more modern and open. Women's emancipation. Slow but sure. The journey of women's freedom in Saudi Arabia is one of the most striking and frequently highlighted stories of change. Did you know that women in Saudi Arabia were only allowed to attend university in 1970? And the identity cards for women were first issued in Saudi Arabia in 2001? Women's participation in international sports events such as the Olympics was only permitted in 2012. Another significant breakthrough occurred in 2013, when the Saudi government allowed women to ride motorcycles for the first time, followed by permission to drive cars in 2018. In the same year, women were also allowed to attend sports events in stadiums for the first time. One of the most controversial policies, which even led to Saudi Arabia being labeled a liberal country, was the abolition of the obligation for women to wear the hijab. Now, it is not surprising to see women in Saudi Arabia walking around without hijabs in public places. These changes are not without reason. Mohammed bin Salman's main goal is to modernize Saudi Arabia, make it more open, and transform it into a world-class tourism destination. This vision also includes efforts to integrate women into the workforce, reduce the country's dependence on foreign labor, and increase female economic participation. Vision 2030, avoiding bankruptcy and securing the future. These drastic changes are not just a desire to appear modern, but an urgent necessity. Saudi Arabia is a country where 72% of its revenue comes from oil sales. However, the world is now moving away from fossil fuels and shifting towards renewable energy sources such as electricity. Electric cars and electric bicycles are becoming more common, signaling a paradigm shift in global energy. If Saudi Arabia continues to rely solely on its oil without diversification, there is a real risk that the country will face bankruptcy in the future. Recognizing this threat, Mohammed bin Salman launched an ambitious innovation known as Saudi Vision 2030. This innovation has led to various labels being attached to Saudi Arabia, ranging from liberal Islamic State, infidel, to anti-China, although the latter label actually contradicts its current foreign policy. As explained earlier, Saudi Arabia has always been a kingdom, not a purely theocratic Islamic state. Therefore, policies that seem controversial to some are actually part of a strategic effort to achieve the goals of Vision 2030. The policy of liberating women, for example, aims to enable them to enter the workforce, reduce dependence on foreign labor, and contribute to economic development. Saudi Arabia aspires to become a world-class industrial and tourism nation by 2030. To achieve this goal, the country is actively promoting itself, frequently holding music festivals and hosting international events such as MotoGP and Formula One races. Grand projects, giant cube and glass wall in the desert. As part of Vision 2030, Mohammed bin Salman has initiated several phenomenal and futuristic development projects. In February 2023, he announced plans for a giant cube-shaped skyscraper, 400 by 400 meters high, named the Mukaab. Within this cube, 20 skyscrapers are planned to be built as residential and office spaces. In addition, the Saudi ruler will also build a line, a giant glass wall 500 meters high and stretching for 170 kilometers. Along this glass wall, buildings for residential and commercial purposes will be constructed. These unprecedented development ideas aim to attract international tourists to Saudi Arabia, creating architectural icons that will become global attractions. Geopolitical shift, away from America, closer to China. Since Mohammed bin Salman came to power in 2017, relations between Saudi Arabia and the United States have become increasingly tense. Yet the two countries have maintained a close historical relationship since 1945. The tension began with the death of journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018, which was strongly suspected to involve the Crown Prince himself. Khashoggi was known for frequently criticizing Saudi government policies. The peak of the Saudi-American relationship tension occurred when Saudi Arabia decided to reduce its oil production in October 2022. The United States, which imports most of its oil from Saudi Arabia, felt threatened, and the U.S. president responded harshly. Mohammed bin Salman was undeterred and even threatened the U.S. back if it took any undesirable actions. Amidst this escalating tension, China saw an opportunity. In December 2022, Mohammed bin Salman met with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The two leaders discussed bilateral economic partnership and cooperation. It is worth noting that Saudi Arabia is currently China's largest investment recipient in the Arab region. This geopolitical shift indicates Saudi Arabia's efforts to diversify its international alliances and reduce dependence on a single major power. Saudi Arabia's tourism charms, from religious to natural wonders. Tourism, especially religious tourism such like Hajj and Umrah pilgrimages, contributes about 9% of Saudi Arabia's revenue, with approximately 10 million tourists visiting annually. However, Saudi Arabia is now trying to expand its appeal beyond religious tourism. Let's explore some of the charming destinations in this country. 1. Mecca, of course. Mecca is a holy city for Muslims worldwide. Visiting the Kaaba and Masjid al-Haram is a dream for every Muslim. The beauty and spirituality of this city cannot be described in words. It is a must-visit at least once in a lifetime for Hajj or Umrah. 2. Jeddah, the second largest city in Saudi Arabia, after Riyadh, located about 65 kilometers from Mecca. Jeddah is a modern city facing the Red Sea. The city offers many beautiful resorts and beaches, making it an attractive tourist destination. 3. Medina, located 400 kilometers north of Jeddah. Medina is the second holy city of Islam. Here, you must visit the Prophet's Mosque, Masjid Nabawi, and pay respects at the tomb of Prophet Muhammad SAW. The calm and blessed atmosphere makes Medina a special place. For Alula, situated 330 kilometers north of Medina, Alula is a captivating ancient city. Historically, it was the capital of the Lionite Kingdom, built by the descendants of Ismail bin Ibrahim. Here, you can also find the Hegra archaeological site, a giant rock formation carved to resemble palaces, similar in form to the city of Petra in Jordan. The beauty of ancient architecture amidst the desert is truly stunning. 5. Split Rock Mountain Horeb, located in the northwest of Saudi Arabia. This mountain is believed by some historians to be Mount Sinai, where Prophet Moses spoke with God. The perfectly split rock, believed to be the result of Moses splitting it and water flowing from its crevices, is an amazing sight. There are two versions of Mount Sinai's location. one in Saudi Arabia and another in Egypt, and everyone is free to believe whichever they choose. 6. Al-Haf Al-Asa Oasis. This oasis city is a fertile area in the middle of the desert due to abundant groundwater sources. The local community largely works as farmers, cultivating rice and dates. Annually, this city produces approximately 100,000 tons of dates, most of which are sold as souvenirs for Hajj and Umrah pilgrims, with the remainder exported to various countries. 7. Taif. Located east of Mecca, the city of Taif offers beautiful scenery, especially in the village of Al-Hada, which can be reached by cable car. The refreshing rural views and cool air make Taif an attractive destination for a holiday after 8. Riyal Alma. In the Asir province, south of Mecca, lies the village of Riyal Alma, a traditional Saudi Arabian village built 900 years ago. Its unique buildings and architecture are perfect for photography enthusiasts and those who wish to experience ancient Arabian ambience. 9. Al-Khobair. Located in eastern Saudi Arabia, this city serves as a border gateway between Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. With its beautiful location on the Persian Gulf, Al-Khobair offers a charming atmosphere. You can also cross over to Bahrain from here. 10. Jebel Fierain, edge of the world. Situated northwest of Riyadh, this place offers spectacular desert views. Known as the edge of the world, its steep cliffs and vast desert expanse create a dramatic landscape and are highly recommended for a visit if you are in Riyadh. 11. Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, is a modern city with towering skyscrapers. Riyadh offers a variety of modern facilities, luxury shopping malls, and ever-developing infrastructure. A round-trip flight ticket from Jakarta to Riyadh currently costs approximately 12 million Indonesian rupiah per person. Unique facts about Saudi Arabia. There are several unique facts that make Saudi Arabia even more fascinating. The Saud and Wahhab families. To this day, the Saud family has successively ruled as kings in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, the Wahhab family, descendants of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, have successively served as religious leaders and chairman of the Shura Council, similar to a consultative assembly. This shows how these two families continue to collaborate in governing the country and maintaining its religious identity. Imported sand. Although the country is filled with desert sand, most of Saudi Arabia's sand is unsuitable for construction materials. As a result, Saudi Arabia has to import sand from other countries. This is one of the reasons why housing prices here are very expensive, especially in large cities, sometimes reaching tens to hundreds of billions of Indonesian rupiah. A country without rivers. Saudi Arabia is one of the few countries in the world that does not have permanent rivers. Fresh water is obtained through the desalination of seawater, which is the process of converting seawater into fresh water, as well as from groundwater sources. Multilingual merchants. If you are on an Umrah pilgrimage and visit souvenir shops, you might be surprised at how fluently the merchants speak Indonesian. They even often shout Jokowi to attract the attention of Indonesian citizens. This indicates the high number of pilgrims from Indonesia and how important the Indonesian market is to them. Conclusion. Saudi Arabia's journey is a story of a nation striving to balance deeply rooted traditions with the demands of modernization. From the long history of the kingdom's formation based on Wahhabi ideology, to the ambitious vision of diversifying its economy and society under the leadership of Mohammed bin Salman, Saudi Arabia is undergoing profound transformation. These changes, whether in social, economic, or geopolitical policies, demonstrate that Saudi Arabia is no longer a static nation. On the contrary, it is a dynamic player on the global stage, daring to take controversial steps for a more stable and prosperous future. Do these changes mean Saudi Arabia is becoming more secular or liberal? The answer is complex. It is more of a pragmatic effort to adapt to global realities and ensure the country has sustainability amidst the challenges of the times, while maintaining its religious identity within the framework of an absolute monarchy. Thank you for your time. I hope this narrative provides valuable information and insights into the unique and fascinating facts about Saudi Arabia.